In this video, I'm going to show how I used Codex to find the real animated 3D model on the internet, integrate it into my indie game as a new enemy with different weapon, behavior, and attack styles, and even add a new animation to it. It started in this chat where I brainstormed the project directions, and I asked it to find a suitable 3D model from the existing assets on the internet, and it gave a couple of options and picked this particular one as a recommendation. Even if this model is cartoonish, and it relatively fits the style and it's quite low poly, so could be used in mobile game. And ignore this weird weapon set in a hand. The model already has all the possible weapons that this character can hold. In a real usage, of course, you toggle only one of them and just hide in the other ones. The model has all the required animations of running, idling, and shooting, and death. I downloaded and put the model into the project, asked Codex to inspect it using Blender, and made sure it can read all the parts and animations. Then I gave it a main task to create a soldier enemy. It should be able to behave like the existing assaulting tank, advancing to the target and attacking it. I described three different weapons: AK, which just shoots, grenade launcher, which behaves the same as the tank, just shooting explosive projectiles, and the most interesting one, the rocket launcher, which shoots rockets into a player, behaving the same as the missile tank. Codex built a plan. Initially, it wanted to inherit the soldier from the existing tank class, which is not a good architecture decision. I asked that we make the shared base class, then Codex rewrote the plan, I approved, and it proceeded with the implementation. After that, it required some back and forth iterations and bug fixes until I got a relatively good result. During code review phase, however, I marked some issues that looks a bit weird. So starting from the ground wipe position for the soldier being constant, and more than that, the advancing logic is implemented in this way. So it just recalculates the position every time and teleports the object with the every frame, which is not good. And more than that, it is the same for the tank and for the track. So it didn't even reuse the code, it just uh, copied the same implementation for three different objects, which is not great. More than that, it's actually inherited the soldier enemy from the enemy target, which is inherited from the static body, which is not great and not suitable base class for our goals. So I will need to prefactor that later manually. This shows that is very important to understand what Codex exactly generates and how to work with that later, because otherwise you might end up with a pretty messy code base with a lot of code copying. And imagine if we would want to change the advancing logic for one class, we would need to do that basically three times, which is not great. So it's gonna be another refactoring task for the future. Then I went even further. So I asked Codex to create a new animation for the existing model, and the result was quite good. So it was based on idle animation. So this is the idle animation that was in file. So as you can see, the character just breathing and making a little action. I asked it to make an idle aim animation. So it's basically should be the same, with the only difference that the head with a weapon is raised, so which simulates that the player is aiming. And as you can see, it works pretty good. So I was happy with the result, and more than that, the Codex was able to wire it with the existing code base and add it to the game, which is fantastic. But then I realized that it would be better if the soldiers would be able to aim at the player. So I asked Codex to implement that logic, and as you can see, the soldiers keep following the player plane before shooting, which adds some realism and make them look more alive. That's how I added a new soldier enemy into Ghost Squadron with Codex. Started from a Ryu animated 3D model, turned it into a gameplay enemy, giving it different weapons, and even adding a new animation. It wasn't perfect on the first try, and I still need to clean up some duplicated logic and code mistakes, but that's exactly the point. Codex helped me move much faster while I still had to review the code and guide the architecture. That's it for today. Good night, everyone.